Hello and welcome to another WATCHPRO Originals. Now it's 4 o'clock today on November the 5th. It's the first day that non-essential retail has been closed. I'm speaking to you at the moment from close to my office in Clerkenwell, towards the east end of London. And I've started here just because I wanted to show you that the level of activity around here is actually quite remarkable, and there's quite a lot open, there's a lot of people around, and it doesn't feel at all like lockdown number 1, so I'm going to call this lockdown 2.0, and we're going to visit the West End, about to catch a tube there, but firstly I'll show you a little bit more about where we are now, just to give you a feel for the fact that, you know, things are actually still happening. So I'll flip the camera around and just take a very short walk until I get to the tube station. So this is the main road. It's not a retail district, but as you can see, the pharmacy's open, the news agent is open, the wine shop is open. The florist is open. Actually, I suppose it's a fruit and veg store, but it certainly sells plenty of flowers. Significant amount of traffic around on the road. I mean, I'm not talking about anything like the sort of levels of activity you would have seen before COVID, but it's not dissimilar to how things were 2 days ago when I was also in the office. We'll pause it there. We'll get the tube. Maybe I'll do a little bit of footage on the tube as well, and I'll see you in London's West End.
Rail services.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform.
Okay, this is the Oxford Circus Underground station, and yeah, not too many people got off here, because what else are you going to do except at Oxford Circus, other than go to the office? You're not allowed to do that. Or go to the shops. You're not allowed to do that. This could be bad. Okay, so it's 20 to 5 now, still on the first day of lockdown, and I've popped down to Regent Street, and I can tell you that the streets are pretty much deserted, and I'm going to flick this around so you can have a look. I'm looking down this way towards Mappin and Webb on the far side there. Turning it around, just walking past Watches of Switzerland on the left here, one of the famous Golden Triangle locations for Watches of Switzerland stores. One here, one on Oxford Street, one in Knightsbridge, and the lights are on. There's security inside. I'll show you the Rolex window, which I imagine would be a running joke because it has absolutely no watches in it, so you might joke that that's no change there, but you would of course expect to see precious metal day dates and date justs and anything but steel sports, and you know, quite honestly I could walk all the way down Regent Street, and of course all of the fashion stores, the Apple shop store, Breitling Store is over on my right. Perhaps the saddest sight of all is over there on the right, which is Hamley's toy store, which of course, what are we, 6-7 weeks before Christmas, would normally have performers outside attracting a crowd, queues of kids. It's a rite of passage if you live in London to take your kids there before Christmas. Next door there is the Breitling Store. Of course, it's all closed up. Yeah, this is as close as you get to a sort of 28 days later scene. There's no point in being here, and of course, nobody's here. Next stop, Oxford Street. We'll just have to show you this. It's as sad a sign of the times as I can probably give you, which is the Omega store just on right on Oxford Circus. Lights are off, of course, and yes, it's promoting the new James Bond film, No Time to Die, which of course was supposed to be in cinemas this year, but it's been COVIDed and is now scheduled for next year. So here we are on Oxford Circus, and the lights are on, but nobody's home, and nobody's shopping at least. They haven't even bothered to turn on the Regent Street lights. They're still dark. If I turn around, you've got some of the Oxford Street lights on, but if I go down towards, I'm walking towards Selfridge's end of the street now, and yeah, quite understandably they've thought perhaps we'll put the lights up a little bit later, or fewer lights this year, because what's it going to attract? H. Samuel on the right, shuttered. Shoe shops. I mean, even if there were cafes or whatever down here, I can see a McDonald's up ahead. I suspect it, I don't know whether it's going to be open or not. Ernest Jones here on the left, shuttered. Some doleful customers who might have been buying watches if they had the chance. Well, let's not forget just how bad things have been in central London since the beginning of the year, because so much, particularly at the luxury end of the market, is reliant on high spending tourists coming in from Asia, the Middle East, America to a certain extent, and of course with the travel bans, none of them have been here. So I can see, yeah, McDonald's is open for takeaways, there's a Subway open for takeaways, there's a wasabi sushi place open for takeaways. Huge John Lewis on the right here, closed. I'll just pause here and we'll get a little bit further down. Now, I think this is probably worth showing you on the very day that retailers, non-essential retailers, were forced to close. Here is the front page of the Evening Standard. As you can see, they've kind of done the same thing I have and got out and about and looked at empty places, and the headline: virus cases fall in swathes of London as London economy faces £6 billion wipeout. The Evening Standard asks, did the capital need to shut up shop? Well, I'm sure you all have a view on that. Now here we are at the top of Bond Street. I'm looking up towards Oxford Street at the moment. And the first thing I'll show you is just how much damage is already being done. This is a huge stretch of prime real estate on my left, which is available for rent. It's empty. And if I pan over to the right, another window of opportunity, as the real estate company is calling it. I'm calling it a gap in the mouth, a tooth missing. Another one next door to that. Another one next door to that. And the prized corner unit of New Bond Street and Brook Street. I mean, this Brook Street is the turn right to the money of Mayfair, is all shuttered as well. It's nice to see that Bond Street's got its lights up though. It's actually, it's beautiful. I'd recommend a little trip down here if you get the chance. Certainly never get a chance to see it with such small crowds or non-existent crowds. Now we know that stores are allowed to do click and collect, so I was half expecting to see, you know, the odd consultant sat in a store waiting for a customer to come by for a bit of curbside collection, but certainly haven't seen any of that yet. It's 5 o'clock. It certainly should be open. If they were doing that, that would be possible, but I guess they've made their calculations and thought it's just not economically viable. I'll pause again now. We're coming up to the Breitling Store on the right. Now I know WATCHPRO has already reported that that's a store that's available. Breitling are trying to get out of that because they've moved to Regent Street, but as things stand, Breitling is still there, paying an absolute fortune, no doubt, for the privilege of sitting empty. I mean, it couldn't be, you know, more tragic. So now we're down at the business end. New Bond Street behind us. We're just walking down into Old Bond Street, where all the venerable marks are. The first one you come across is Patek Philippe, the only boutique that they own and operate in the UK. There's the odd person in there. I've no idea whether they're staff or security. There's no watches in the windows though, that's for sure. Hublot opened this store, I think two years ago, Christmas 2 years ago. No watches in the windows. I mean, they say about Bond Street that these stores don't make money at the best of times, that they're kind of marketing vehicles as much as they are retail stores. Well, not only are they far less economically viable at the moment, they are not doing much on the marketing front as well, because there's pretty much nobody here. Bulgari to the right, just with security inside. Some people have got lights on. Breguet doesn't. Blancpain doesn't. Van Cleef & Arpels has its security shutters up. And, you know, who can blame them? I mean, essentially you just have to batten down the hatches, take care of security, use your staff to reach out directly to clients by phone, by WhatsApp, any means possible. Poor old Cartier, usually such a huge Christmas event coming to Cartier. It just isn't happening. Boodle's next door, one of the great independent jewellers. Tiffany & Co. Just been bought by LVMH at a tiny discount from the original, I forget what exactly, 16 billion was it, and they got themselves about a $500 million discount. Well, perhaps with this lockdown they should have asked for a little more off. And on it goes. Rolex boutique run by Watches Switzerland, just coming up on the right. Of course it's all closed up, no watches, advising people to shop online, temporarily closed for the safety and well-being of the customers. Well, given that retail, I believe, accounts for about 2% of COVID cases, supermarkets, pharmacies, petrol stations, many other essential stores have been open throughout this year, never closed in any of the lockdowns. You do wonder just how much of an overreaction this has been to, in a situation where, as the Evening Standard reports, the cases are coming down all over London, and there's certainly plenty of other data showing that there's been no overrunning of hospitals or anything like that. Vacheron Constantin made the effort to get its Christmas lights outside before closing. I think the last couple were just about to drop down to Piccadilly. Another second Cartier store there. Lights on but closed. Roger Dubuis just opened here. Richard Mille, award-winning store, only just opened, now closed. And finally on the left before you get to Piccadilly, Mappin and Webb store, owned by Watches Switzerland. So that really is the scene here in the West End of London. You know, what should be the busiest, most prosperous shopping district in the UK, Europe and the world is pretty much a ghost town. I for one wish it weren't that way. I don't see that it's necessary. I'm sure there's going to be people who would strongly disagree with that, but you know, you get people into a professional environment where they're being told how to behave, how to distance, how to wear masks, etc., etc. That's not where this problem is. That's not where this virus is spreading. So, you know, all I can say is that I hope that December the 2nd is the absolute last day these stores are closed. I don't see any reason why they couldn't open sooner and maybe go to a tiered system again, where cases are lower. We're seeing them lower, coming down in the northeast, the northwest, all over the country really. The real hotspots have got on top of this with a tier system, and this complete lockdown just seems like a joke to me.